Ms. Williams, tell us when he approached you about the cell phone, how did that conversation come up?
Well, actually, he approached my daughter first.
Okay.
The text messages are through her phone and him contacting her. Because he reached out to her to see how much it was going to be. And then that's when she said, you'll have to speak to my mom at that point. And I said, okay, as long as he agrees to do it, let's go for it.
Okay, so you initially reached out to your cousin?
Correct.
Why didn't you just get a phone in your own name or on your own?
I was unaware that I was able to. When it comes to getting bills in my name, I was not accustomed to it. They've always been in somebody else's name. So now that I was getting my life situation together,
got it.
I'm learning these things.
All right, and that's true. I mean,
Yes.
You've known him a while. Okay, what happened in February 2024?
On February the 6th, I believe it was, I got a call from his son saying that there was some stuff that was going on in the household and that he was not happy and he wanted to leave home.
All right, Mr. Ellison, what exactly happened?
The issue was I found out my son was failing school. He had all of his games. He had a cell phone where I was making all the payments. I mean, I'm not in a financial position as others are, so certain things just don't come as fluently. Yeah. But the bare necessities, the food, the roof, clothes, he had.
Right.
I'm not up to date when it comes to parenting. I kind of have a more old school approach. No, I don't physically abuse my children, but as far as it's either A or B, you don't have a C, and if I couldn't provide it, he knew where to run to.
Got it. So your nephew comes to you, your great nephew.
Yes.
Did you think that there was more to it than just some strict parenting?
Well, no, he was just telling me, he says, my dad is trying to run the household like a dictatorship. He says, and I can't do it, you know.
Right.
He says he was being awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then he would fall asleep in school. He said that's part of the reason why he was failing is because he was tired, you know, from being up from 3 o'clock in the morning.
Why was he up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
He said his dad required him to get up at that time.
Were you getting him up at 3 a.m.?
I was one day.
Okay.
Yeah, see, like I said, I don't know. I wasn't there. I only could go by what he had told me.
All right, so did you invite your grandnephew to stay with you?
No, I told him, I said, your dad would never let you come and stay with me.
Yeah, so you said, said, work it out with your dad.
Yeah, I said, you know, you need to really work this out with your dad, you know, and he had told me that he felt like he needed counseling, and I told him, I said, well, speak to your counselor at school. That's a beginning point. Okay. And I think that's where everything broke down at, is that I believe that he did speak to the counselor at school, because that evening, and I do know because I used to be an ex-soccer coach in Georgia, you're mandated if the child comes to you and reports certain things, they have to go to DFACS. And I believe that's what happened, because Caleb showed up on my doorstep at 8:30. At 8:45, DFACS was knocking on my door. I didn't know what was going on.
Department of Family and Children's Services.
Yes.
Right. So you suspect what happened is you said go talk to your school counselor, who can be a great resource, and that for one reason or another, the school counselor felt something needed to be reported.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ellison, one of the big points of contention in this case is that you believe that it was really your aunt that called Department of Family and Children's Services.
Not entirely.
No.
I believe that she influenced my son.
How
My son had never spoke about child services. It's not something that my family is accustomed to, but I was made aware that if I did not stop certain things, that DFACS was going to be brought into my life.
So standing here today, you don't believe that she actually called and reported you?
Correct.
So DFACS was called by somebody.
All right.
And what happened?
So I'm gonna start from the beginning. I found out my son was failing class. I sent him a text message while he was at school. No response. I knew he had an all-TC meeting that night. I worked 2 jobs. Right. At that moment, I was working at my primary electrician job, and then I had a side job after that. So I would be working all day. I stayed up until he got home. I was sitting in the living room, and I'm tired too.
Sure.
I know he has to go to bed, so I just let him go to bed.
Okay.
I know I have to get up early. I'm already tired. So this is when I wake him up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I have to be on the job site at 5.
But when they all of a sudden showed up, what did they do with your son?
My son packed his bags and he was gone. He made sure to be gone before I could lay eyes on him.
So that you didn't have a confrontation with him?
Yes.